Hello, Art 2. We're going to do a little bit of pencil shading today. So we're basically trying to use the same techniques that we focused on in the first half of the year, where we really got into value and contour. And we're going to apply them with pencil. We've done a little bit of this, but I just wanted to go over some of the basics and sort of remind you of what techniques are going to lead to a successful piece here. So I started with a basic contour drawing. I wanted to sort of fast forward through this drawing so that you guys didn't have to sit through the entire process. So you guys should be fairly familiar with how to get to this point. One reason I'm making this video is that I really want you to focus on getting your shading really smooth with pencil. And that could take a while. I really recommend doing some value scales, just like we did with charcoal, and really focus on getting your lines smooth. There's another video that I'm going to show you guys where she has some really great techniques to have nice, consistent marks, nice, smooth marks. So one thing you could do is just anywhere in your sketchbook is you could get your pencil and you could practice just making some marks like this. And I'm barely putting any pressure on my pencil at this point. What you want to avoid is the type of mark making in which you go like this, right? And you get these weird stripes. You see those stripes that we get in between our areas of shading? Well, you could avoid that either by making larger lines, larger strokes, like this, that prevent the need for that overlap. Or you could do the method that I really like, which is just building really, really light layers on top of each other until they get darker. That's basically what we did with our vine charcoal, and you'll be sort of applying the same technique here. So I jumped ahead a little bit here. So what we have here is a basic contour drawing that you guys know how to do. Okay, so I just started with a very light and loose contour drawing. And you'll notice that we don't see a lot of my contour lines left, right? That's the indication of a successful drawing, is when we don't see those contour lines left at the end. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my knowledge of cross contour, which we studied earlier as well, and I'm going to sketch out a few areas in which my shading needs to get a little bit darker. Now, what I did after I put my cross contour is I did a light layer of almost the same value across the entire lemon. You can see I'm drawing this lemon here. And this is in anticipation of your self-portrait project, okay, which is probably going to be much more difficult than whatever subject you choose as your little still life practice. Okay, so choose something very simple, a piece of fruit, maybe a mug, maybe a ball, something very, very simple. And I want you to just start with a basic value. You can just imagine you're sort of transferring those same techniques that we did with vine charcoal into pencil. Okay, so I started with the basic value, and I'm just drawing this above here to show you how I got to the stage. So I started with this contour, and then after I did that basic value, I used a tissue. You can use a paper towel or any sort of soft fabric. And I just blended it together like this. And the idea here is I'm barely putting any pressure on. The more pressure that I put on my pencil, the more marks are going to be left at the end. Right? So then I could add more on top and blend. And we don't want to use our finger because that's what leaves the oil. Right? And you can see that this method can be used to create nice, gradual gradations. Very light layers. I'm not even adding that much more pressure than I did in the beginning. It's just the result of the accumulating layers on top of each other that create this value difference. Okay? So I want you to, after you've gotten your contour drawing in and your basic value, I want you to use your cross contour knowledge to create some lines that will indicate where your darker areas will be. Okay, you can imagine those fruit drawing exercises where we drew the lines on the fruit and notice the way that they changed to create dimension. Right? So notice it gets darker here. So I'm just putting a few lines, and I know it could be hard to see, but I like to keep my contour lines very light. Okay, now I'm going to begin to shade in the areas that are a bit darker. So I'm just using that same technique. I notice that there's a dark area right here. This is our core shadow.